This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by... For over 28 years, Creative Carpet and Flooring has provided not only one of the largest selections of carpet and flooring in the area, but also customer service that exceeds expectations. Featuring leading brands like Mohawk, Stanton, and Shaw, their friendly and knowledgeable staff is there to help you choose the products that are right for you and are available to help answer any questions along the way. Once you become a client, you'll get newsletters recognizing new customers, offering contests, sales, and special thank you incentives for referrals. Creative Carpet and Flooring, with locations in Mokena, Illinois and Highland, Indiana. A family-owned business providing great products and service to families like yours.
Hello and welcome to the show. With us today we have John Moore, who is a representative of USA Cares, which is an organization which provides many services for post 9/11 vets. And so I want to welcome you to our show and welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show studio. What do you think? Fancy digs, huh?
Fancy digs.
So, well, again, welcome. And what John is going to hope to do with us today is share some information about what USA Cares does and what type of resources it provides. And as we're talking before the show, it's more of an ancillary to the VA. Right. That you really can't replace the VA, but if someone isn't getting a service through the VA, USA Cares is there to help whenever they can. So tell us a bit about, first of all, yourself, and Sure. Tell us where you came from, and you are a veteran.
I am a vet. Post-Vietnam, way before 9/11/01. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of the old dogs that USA Cares isn't designed for, okay? It's designed for, you gotta have a mission plan, and that is to help post 9/11 families that are in crisis, and that's what USA Cares is for. What I've done, I've been around for a long time. I served from 76 to 82, but coming back and seeing what's going on, the people that have been in combat, which I was fortunate enough not to have people shooting at me, go through some things that nobody that's a civilian can really appreciate and understand. Okay, it's a different stress in life. And if you look at statistics, and I'm not going to quote a bunch of statistics, but they're very, very, very small percentage. I mean, less than 10% down to 1%, depending upon the year, of the people in the nation have served, yet the homeless are over 30% of the homeless are vets. I mean, that's really a shame, because what happens is it sort of tears you up.
Oh, it does. Okay. Yeah.
So what we've got so far is we've had 112,375 requests as of the last time they posted a number for assistance. Mm-hmm. We've sent over $15 million in grants. Now, what USA Cares does is we never lend money. It's a grant, okay? We don't give the money to the vet. We pay the bill, because, you got it. If you're in crisis, you need somebody that will help. One of the big differences between us and dealing with the government and the Veterans Administration, which, it's wonderful the government's kicking in and helping and doing what they do, but government red tape takes a while. So let's say that you're overseas and you get injured and you go from active duty pay to disability pay. Sometimes there's a couple months of lag. You don't get paid. Mm-hmm. Okay? What do you do to pay the bills?
Right.
What if you've got a family back here trying to make ends meet? So that's a crisis. A crisis that was definitely created by your service. And those get our first attention.
So tell us a little bit about the services that USA Cares provides.
Well, one of the things that really separates us from most other entities, especially the government, is from the time that somebody asks for help, we're usually able to provide it within 48 hours.
Oh.
Okay, so that's, if you're in crisis, 48 hours seems like a long time, 4 to 8 months is really forever.
Well, you could be homeless and you could have no food, so
Exactly.
that, 48 hours is a long time. And in a lot of cases when, a lot of these guys that are serving the military, they're so proud that they don't want to admit to
I don't want to
anyone.
admit.
Yeah.
Where we see a lot of that. So the services that we provide, and we've got little brochures here.
Oh, cool.
To start off with, we have our combat injured program. So if you were actually physically hurt or hurt through traumatic stress disorder or military sexual trauma, we're there to help with basic needs, food, utilities, etc. Okay. One of the main things that we do, one of the more expensive things that we do, is if somebody comes back and they need help, and the Veterans Administration is able to do inpatient treatment for you, but the veteran doesn't want to go because they feel a need to provide for their family, right? They've got a spouse, they've got children, and if they're a breadwinner, to go get help means that the family doesn't have a place to live or food to eat. What USA Cares does is we pay the bills while they go get treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And yes, there's career transition assistance. We do have a jobs board. We can help provide what it takes to get them into a job, get them ready for interviews, etc. Once again, we're not trying to take the place of the government programs. We're trying to supplement and fill in the holes. We are actually will pay a moving van to get somebody across the country. Because they don't have the money. There was a person that came in that needed steel-toed boots in order to be able to start a job, and he couldn't afford the steel-toed boots, and so we contacted Walmart to buy him boots, and they found out what had happened, and they just gave them to him. It's about using resources.
Right.
There's emergency assistance. So we've saved, I don't know how many cars from being repossessed, NIPSCO from being turned off. We've saved 4,776 homes so far.
Oh, wow.
From veterans being thrown out. Because we're not a handout, we're a hand up. We're not there for sustained, gee, we're going to support you forever, but when you have a problem and you need a hand, that's what we're there for. In order to get the housing assistance, they do have to go through budget counseling before any grant is given. I mean, the idea isn't, a Band-Aid on something that's going to lead to death. The idea is use the money to help somebody to get past where they are and show them how to get where they need to go.
Right. So basically, it's getting them more breathing room till they can get their feet back on the ground and get back to a normal lifestyle. Always amazes me when I have hired someone that's in the military or have interacted with someone. Like, for instance, I always tell the story about these guys that just came out of Iraq. And they came on the show to talk about, and they didn't know about USA Cares. They came on the show to talk about the problems that they're having. And, usually our guests, unlike you, showed up early. Usually our guests call right on time, or, maybe 15 minutes early, or maybe we've had some 5 minutes late. So we had these guys come out, and we got there early because this is when we had the radio station. I'll be doggone if they were not there an hour early. And I asked, you guys didn't need to come this early. And one responded said, well, we wanted to do recon on the building that we're going to be in. And I don't think people realize the training, the rigorous training that has to go through in basic training. And you can't be late in the military.
That's not acceptable.
And so that's one thing that, it's nice to see the guys have all this job training, placement training. But employers have to realize the chances of them getting a good employee out of a vet is very, very good.
And like I said, it's a shame that the high percentage that are home. I think there are issues, self-medication sometimes that we work with. One of the things that I did want to bring up is, there's programs like the Veterans Court. So if somebody gets in trouble, the easy way out's to take the slap on the wrist and do a few weeks or whatever, the community service, and go back. Veterans Court, the guys say, hey, it's a different mindset. It's I'm going to work through this to get out of it to do better.
Right.
And part of that is you've got the rules are so strict. I mean, you can't have a firearm, you can't have a drink, you can't do this, you can't. I mean, but they commit to that, and there's a 12-step program that's required. I recently got involved with, a little over a year ago, with Celebrate Recovery, and we've got a Welcome Home program. So anybody that needs those resources, we have them available. We're in Porter County, but I mean, Northwest Indiana, we can service. There's other groups around that'll help. So that's something that I'm here to help with USA Cares, but it's not just USA Cares. I mean, there's Folds of Honor. There's Wounded Warrior Project. I mean, there are others, organizations privately funded that are here to help. So when you feel like you're alone, when it feels like nobody's there to help, when nobody understands, there are those of us that have been there in the past that are here to help.
Right.
And that's the number one thing. If you got somebody in the family that you see is having a problem, or you're having a problem, reach out. We're here to listen. We're not here to pass judgment. We're here to help in any way we can.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, and a lot of people that provide these services themselves wanting to make sure their brethren's taken care of.
Absolutely.
And it always speaks well to the community, is welcoming people back, making sure they're cared for. And again, I can't say it enough, that we need, as a society, have to figure out that vets have to be a priority. We can't let them become homeless. We can't let them go through substance abuse. And then there are people that criticize the ones that are substance abuse. I think if these people that were critical saw what these people actually had to see when they're in a combat mission, this is not normal everyday violence. And so I think people have to realize self-medication is a result of seeing or being involved in something that's extremely traumatic. And that is, I am so glad that there are resources out there like this to help welcome these. I guess I wish the VA was more responsive, but it's a huge entity. And and let's see, we covered all the resources here. So is there anything else what other, for instance, so I guess what we should do is tell them if someone is out there and saying, gosh, I'm worried about getting kicked out of my house, I just lost my job, how do they contact USA Cares?
Well, we recently moved our headquarters from Ratcliffe, Kentucky to Louisville. Okay. USA Cares started as Kentuckiana Cares. Okay. This was back in 2003. And we were endorsed by some pretty well-known people. Ollie North, Colin Powell. That helped get us going. And we started off with selling yard signs. The Kroger food stores and the Fort Knox chapter there is where it started. And we do have yard signs that are available. So if somebody makes a nice sized donation, we'll gladly give them something to put in their yard saying thanks and USA Cares. But to be able to get assistance, we have a full-time panel down that helps go through and determine if we can give assistance. And they just go to usacares.org. I used to say www. But I guess you don't have to do that so much anymore.
Yeah.
It's the usacares.org.
And we'll put all this up on when we post the video as well. Excellent. So now let me ask you a really important question, because I hear that you had some support from big names, but I mean they can't always write the check to sustain all these marvelous programs you guys have. How do you get the funds to help our vets?
Well, it's actually from people in your audience. It's private donations. I mean, we do fundraisers. We've done the Big Red Barn event here locally. We're looking at doing a motorcycle raffle. I mean, there's things that we do to raise funds, and then those funds go to corporate, and then they're handed out down there. We don't hand out funds at the local chapter level. We're here to raise awareness, and we're here to raise funds in order to be able to fund it. The funds that we raise in Indiana are really earmarked more to help Hoosier vets. And then there's large corporate fundraisings. We have a huge gala dinner and auctions where people just are so generous in what they donate.
Yeah.
And, we raise quite a bit there. And then that can go everywhere in the country. But
So how do they just go to usacares.org and
Sure.
And to find out about the events? Is there a Facebook page?
Yes, we have an Indiana Facebook page. Everything is available through usacares.org, our
Okay.
corporate. You can always call me or email me or whatever. I mean,
We'll put your contact information up there if you don't mind.
Sure.
And in case someone is wondering how they get a hold of them. Now, as you said, there's like galas, and you have something coming up in the immediate future?
Well, not right now. We've sort of gotten through most of it. We're in the middle of winter.
Yeah. Yeah,
Usually
events
there's a
are-
run
yeah.
every spring that we're involved with. We're in a motorcycle run. We've had the Big Red Barn a couple of times. We do have some events. Figure Eight Breweries have been very nice to help us host some things
Yeah.
down in Valparaiso. And it's just, the Michigan chapters just leads the way. I mean, they've been strong from the get-go. But we're constantly looking for ways to raise a few dollars. We have a boot box. People drop in at events. You've seen us at several events.
Oh yeah, I think every the Chamber of Commerce in Porter County and out here, I've seen you around at any veterans event that goes on.
And one of the things I want to say that's a little different with us than most of the others is the vast majority of everybody for USA Care that works as a volunteer. We're all volunteers out here in the outposts or chapters. Corporately, the people that stress and listen to the problems and determine funding are paid positions. But it works out, even counting fundraising, over 85%, usually around 90% of whatever we bring in goes straight to help a vet.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that got me involved 5-6 years ago, was that the percentage of the dollars that come in, almost all of it goes straight to help a vet. The administrative portion is only a few percent. The fundraising is what takes up 8 or 9%. If you netted out the fundraising, we'd be at 95, 7, 8%.
Great.
So I mean, the money that comes in helps those who deserve it, not padding the pockets of those that are here wearing a shirt.
Right. That's good to know, as I know a lot of people are very leery nowadays. They look at that ratio on how much percentage is given to administrative cost, and some of them are 60%.
I don't think I've ever seen us over 5.
Good. That's great. Well, and again, it's I think everyone involved, maybe there may be different administrator, but everyone I've talked to has been involved is a vet themselves and is volunteering, so out in the front lines, so to speak. And so now, how many the chapter, Indiana chapter? How are there other offices that, or is how many offices are there in Indiana? Say.
Well, in Indiana, okay, we are the primary chapter for the state of Indiana. There was a chapter that started in Indianapolis. I think they sort of disintegrated somewhat. I mean, it's hard because it's all volunteer work, and typically, if you want something done, you get a busy person to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of busy people. Sometimes it's hard to keep it going. The corporate offices, there's quite a few chapters across the country, and once again, they're all on the website. And we don't pay a lot of people to do that, so sometimes things aren't updated in the first week, month, whatever. But we're constantly up there doing it, and we've helped people all the way across everywhere in the country and even outside of the country that are stationed overseas. If you're an active duty military, this is something that your commanding officer is not going to be told that you're getting help. There's a pride factor, and nobody wants to admit that they're in trouble.
Yeah, and that's the thing I want to emphasize too. This is just not for people who have rotated out and handed in their separation papers. Active duty personnel qualify for these.
If you're in crisis and you are actively serving or have served since 9/11/01, go online and tell us. If you don't have computer access, call a number that's on.
I hate to ask, and I'm afraid to find out the answer. What do you know the percentage of the clients that you get that are active duty?
I don't know, and that's sort of by design.
Okay.
This is confidential. We help people in Porter County, and I don't even know their name half the time. Okay. If somebody doesn't get through and they call me directly and I work on it, I'll help talk to the administration and I'll help do whatever I can to put things together. But you'll see that there's people that in the brochures, in the movies, etc. They put their name in, they talk. That's their choice. That's not done by us.
Yeah, but you know, the reason I ask, obviously, you know, kind of concerning. You know, an active duty person is not being taken care of. I mean, that's someone that is, you know, serving us right now, and my golly, you know, having to go out, whether it be in a war effort or it's just a support service. Still, gosh, you would think that, you know, there would be assets within the United States that can take care of those folks, but a lot of times not. You know, a lot of times military pay doesn't cover the expenses that you left at home, I guess. So
it can happen. Also, like I said, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's an emergency. It's not like you're making a huge amount of money in the military. I mean, we all know that you probably make less per hour there than most other jobs ever. And if something happens and there's an emergency, you've got to be able to deal with it. And sometimes that doesn't work out as well as you'd hope. And we're here to help. I mean, that's what we are here for. And one of the things that it's just sort of appalling is the delay that sometimes happens between active duty pay, injured pay, combat pay. You lose combat pay, you're based on it. There's a lot of things that can happen.
right.
And
Yeah, a lot of times you turn on TV and see all this junk that's going on in Washington, and you think about our veterans getting overlooked, and like, okay, let's cut back on some of this stuff and then put more effort towards the vets. And yeah, it's a shame, but oh gosh, is there anything else that you want to share with us?
no, we're looking for help at any given point in time. Anybody that has a passion that wants to help, please
Volunteers?
contact me for
Mhm.
volunteers. People to help serve on a board, people to help. We've done the popcorn parade a couple of years, you know, the popcorn festival in Valpo. This past year we didn't, just because we got spread a little bit thin for the people that were working. So if you know anybody that wants to help, have them contact me.
Yeah. Well, actually, I do have a name for you that I'll get. If not today, I'll get it to you. This poor guy came up to me, a disabled vet,
Mhm.
that it was at the polling place during the election, and he asked if there's anything he could do because he's sitting at home doing nothing. And so I'm more apt to get him involved, help him get involved with you guys than politics.
Mhm.
'Cause politics is not always good.
No, and I don't think anybody deserves help more than those who
Yeah.
have gone
And
out.
this guy
and
just
put their
wants
life
to
on the line.
help out. You know, he said he'll sit at home and call, or you know, and maybe it could be a resource. But yeah, we'll get the information out there about that. And you know, one thing that I want to say is this: anything having to do with our vets, Kelly and myself are extremely passionate about. I think you see us at the dinner every
I've
year.
seen you at the dinner
And-
every year. I've seen you at the Applebee's every year. It's
Yeah.
you know,
And we give labor-wise any way we can, and monetary, and we feel very compelled to make sure that anyone who cannot attend that dinner is able to. So we work with Lenny Corso and try to make sure that that is done. And you know, we can only do a table, but even that's a table of some folks that normally wouldn't be able to get there. And so yeah, if there's anything you guys need, contact our show. And we'll put you in touch with the right people. We will get all the information about USA Cares. And John, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your efforts and what you do and volunteering for this organization, because these people, I mean, there's people out there that need help, and the crying shame is you know, we don't necessarily let them know. And like you said, why it's not. You know, so yeah, we'll get the information out there. And John, thanks again for coming on out and being on our
Thank you,
show.
Bill.
And
appreciate it.
you get a Bill and Kelly Show mug.
Excellent. Hopefully it's gonna be mud.
This is much sought after. I don't think you realize.
No.
No, I mean, there's people out there that are just, when you get mugs? I said, well, we'll get them to you. So please, you and your wife take mugs with you, and thank you again for all your efforts. And with that, we'll go ahead and close out the show and say goodbye for now.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by... For over 28 years, Creative Carpet and Flooring has provided not only one of the largest selections of carpet and flooring in the area, but also customer service that exceeds expectations. Featuring leading brands like Mohawk, Stanton, and Shaw, their friendly and knowledgeable staff is there to help you choose the products that are right for you and are available to help answer any questions along the way. Once you become a client, you'll get newsletters recognizing new customers, offering contests, sales, and special thank you incentives for referrals. Creative Carpet and Flooring, with locations in Mokena, Illinois and Highland, Indiana. A family-owned business providing great products and service to families like yours.